Okay, so let's look at what you're gonna have to do for this assignment. Write your own poem. So first of all, in a PDF, I included this page. So it gives you a lot of vocabulary that will help you to write your poem. You also have this page about feelings. So again, lots of vocabulary that's gonna help you for your poem. You have another page, again with vocabulary. And now here. So for the project, you are going to write a poem. There are 5 steps to follow that will guide you through this process. It is important to complete each step of this process. Actually, you must complete each step of this process and to take the time to do each part well. You will be marked on quality, spelling, thought, and details. For some helpful tips on writing poetry, you should read page 186 and 187. How to write poetry that I also included in the section. So for step 1, getting ready. So think back to a time in your life when you had a strong experience, strong memory that has impacted your life. What do you remember about this experience? What people, places, things, objects, or events were part of this experience? What sights, sounds, smells, and tastes might be part of this experience? What strong emotions? Because it's mostly what we need in your poem. Like we need to feel the emotions. So what emotions did you experience then? And then you can use these papers to help you. So make a list in point forms of words and phrases that comes to mind as you think back on powerful experience in your life. So, in this document, write a poem, step 1, 2, and 3. You will have to write your list. There's no need to press enter. You can just press on the arrow going down. So once you write something, goes to next with the arrow. You don't need to press enter. So once you're done writing your list on the computer, you can go to the next step, which is step 2. Writing a story. Soon you're going to use your list from the previous page to write prose. That is, you're going to use the list you have created to write a piece of prose, a story on the topic you have chosen. So you're not going to write your poem right away. Later, you will be using your story to create a poem by removing unnecessary words and phrases. However, before proceeding, read and study the example on the following pages. This example shows how one student, Nikki, created a poem from a story about a childhood memory and a strong emotion that surrounded her memory. So if we look at it, following is Nikki's response to The Way I Feel. Notice how Nikki has highlighted the words and phrases that she considers important to express the meaning and emotions of the experience. So that's the poem she wrote. And she wrote in prose, so that's a story. We have more here. And once she was done, she highlighted some of the words, some like important parts in the story. And you're gonna have to do the same. On the following page are 2 drafts. So that's later on. So let's just go check step 2 on the computer. So in the same document as you wrote your list here, you will write your story. So not the poem just yet, the story. And don't forget a title. For step 3, you're going to use the story you wrote for step 2, and you're going to highlight all the important part of your story. So let's say that's my story. I did step 2 and I'm ready for step 3. So let's say I'm ready. That's the important part. So I'm going to use the mouse and underline it. Then I will come here where it says couleur de soulignage, or maybe something else if you have it in English. Then you will click on it, and then you can pick yellow or whatever color you want. It doesn't matter for this part, but probably yellow. It's easier to read after. And simply click on yellow, and now it turns yellow. And if you made a mistake, you want to change it, you just go back, and then you can press none or aucun, and then it goes away if needed. And now for step 4. You're going to go to the other document right here, and you're going to be writing a draft of your poem. So using the essential words and phrases from your story, so what you underlined, write a draft, a first draft of your poem here. You must include in your poem one example for each of the following. If you forgot what they are, what they mean, you can go back to the videos in here for the reference guide, so you have videos about it. So you need at least one of each alliteration, one simile or metaphor, one hyperbole, and one personification. You can have more than one if you want, but as long as you have one for each. And once again, don't forget your title. And finally, for step 5, writing a final draft of your poem. So remember, you are to include in your poem at least one example of each. And now in this part, you can also do it here if you want to make sure you didn't forget any. But you're gonna have to underline the alliteration in yellow. You're gonna have to underline the simile or metaphor in blue, or both if you decided to use both. The hyperbole is going to be in red, and personification will be in green. So once again, it's the same thing. You underline with your mouse, go here, and pick the color. So for step 4, if we look at what Nikki did, we have her first draft and then her final draft. So the poem on the left is the first draft of Nikki's poem, which is created from the preceding prose story. So the story right here. Notice how the words were deleted, changed, and rearranged in lines and stanza. So she took her story and then created the poem with it. So obviously, lots of words had been deleted, so she can write this poem. And to the right is the final draft of her poem. Notice how Nikki polished her poem. So she even made it bigger. She added some new things, maybe some new ideas to make it bigger. For your final draft, or even the first one, it doesn't need to be as long. I would say at least 4 stanza of 4 line each minimum. So 4 paragraph stanzas and then 4 line in each minimum, or a total of 16 lines. So if you want to rearrange it in some other way, as long as it makes sense, you need at least 16 lines. And once you're done your final draft, take some time to revise. Make sure you added enough details, some strong adjectives, adverbs to make your poem more vivid and interesting to read, because we want to feel the emotion in your poem. So that's it for the assignment. If you have other questions, let me know. Send me an email.